Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so delighted to have you here with me today. For reference, this is the third podcast episode that I will have recorded today. It's been a productive day, I suppose, and that's what I kind of want to actually talk about. So today's episode is going to be we're going to be wandering down some rabbit holes, and we're going to be a little all over the place, but there's some valuable things that I want to share with you, and I want to share with you what they are while they're fresh on my mind. So one of the things I was doing today, let me just frame up today. So if you've listened to the last two episodes, you'll already have heard me saying that this has been a busy week, and I have been out doing a number of installs, and it's been a very different week from normal. So as opposed to being in my office or at home working on the online version of my business, I was off doing some other work for some in Calgary clients. Because it's mid-afternoon and it's Friday and it's been a very busy week. And this is my third podcast episode that I'm recording. There are going to be moments where my brain just slows down and my words kind of fade out. Okay, so just hang with me. Maybe today's a great day if you're just chilling and we're driving and it's going to feel more like a conversation between friends. Only in this particular case, I'm the friend who doesn't shut up and you just kind of nod and along as we talk. So I want to touch first on my comment and bit of hesitation about calling today a productive day. So it's like I said, the week has already been full. I mean, by any measure that you would find, it's already been a highly productive week. What I find so fascinating about myself, and I'm always curious, and I'm steadily unpacking this and bringing more awareness to it, is that I have this, there's some version of a belief which is working its way into my awareness, so I can go bye, because you're not super helping me, that says I need to be doing something and it has to be productive all of the time. And different days it will show up differently, I suppose. So for example, I recorded, I think 3 episodes ago now, I recorded a podcast for you about working in flow and what does that look like as the changes in our body are happening, as we're going into a menstrual cycle or coming out of a menstrual cycle, right? But today I want to talk not about specifically working in flow, but more specifically to that this driving need to be productive. So I am working out of my husband's store. He doesn't own the store, but he works at a store. And when we go up to the family cabin for the weekend, because his work is on the way to the cabin, I'll just work remotely out of the store. Because really, as long as I have my laptop, and in the case of times that I'm recording an episode, my microphone, I can do my work anywhere. It's one of the things that I love about how I am building this business, because my intent, one day I will be recording podcast episodes for you on the beaches of Greece. Okay, it's going to happen. You heard it here first. It's going to be amazing. And perhaps I won't turn on the noise canceling on the microphone so that you can hear the waves in the background. We shall see, and we'll play with it when we get there. But the point is, I can work from anywhere. My husband has to obviously report into where he works. All of his paperwork is here. His computer is here. Everything that he needs is here. So that makes sense. Now, I'm going to use his work as a tool to frame up the difference, because I know for myself, it's been a point of internal friction. Okay. So he works Monday to Friday, call that his hours are 9 to 5, but it doesn't really matter. A 9 to 5 job. And he is expected to be here at 9 and finish at 5 and do the work in between. And he has specific targets and like stuff that he has to do, and right, all the jazz that's part of a regular job. You know this. You've had a job. Even if you don't have one now, you've definitely had one in the past. So where I find myself often like kind of struggling against is this sense that in order for me to almost prove that I'm working, I need to be doing and creating something and being productive. Now, the key word here is productive. I'm going to unpack that in a minute. All of the time. So, great example. I was sharing with my husband when we went for lunch earlier that I'm like, it's been a good morning. I recorded 2 podcast episodes. I got some social media. I got a post up. I got some stories up, and I said, I need to reframe how I see social media in my mind, because I really have like this belief that being on social media is a waste of time. I didn't grow up in the camp of like social media is awesome. It's like amazing. Literally all that I heard was it's a waste of time. It's super addictive. It's whatever. Now, bearing in mind, I'm on the elder millennial side, as Eliza Schlesinger would say. So I was a fully formed adult before social media came to be a thing. It wasn't part of what I did growing up. And in fairness, like the online connecting spaces, even though they were available when I was a teenager, never appealed to me. So I get confused when I don't understand when people are like, I just don't understand. Like I just get sucked into social media. I'm like, but like how? Because I have to intentionally go into social media in order to create a post, put stories up, and then part of that is then me going, okay, to help people see your message, you need to let the algorithm know you're real and you exist. And so you need to spend a little bit of time here and like go interact in some other posts and, go do these things. And it's not that I don't have valuable accounts on my feed, like the ones that there's probably 4, I'm guessing 4, maybe 5 creators that sort of cross my feed almost on the daily, because those are the ones that I tend to like look at. But it's an effort to me to go in and like interact on social media, because it's just not my natural state. It's kind of like saying to me, Amy, okay, every day you need to go into that crowded room of people and you just need to like go talk to like 5 people. And the first day would feel a little nerve-wracking, of course, because there's this giant crowd of people and I'm like, oh my God. But like, it's exhausting. It's not my natural state. It's not how I naturally want to exist, but it's something that is part of a tool for my business. So as I'm talking with my husband about, being on Instagram, I said it feels like I'm not doing anything, and it feels like time just disappears. Like I said, I spent 45 minutes, probably half an hour, 45 minutes between trying to get the stories up, getting the post up, waiting for it all to upload, because that all takes a minute, and then doing the thing of, interacting with a few other accounts. And to me, that doesn't feel like productive energy, even though I know that it's important to get the word out there for my business and to ideally reach more of my audience, right? When I sit down and record podcast episodes, some days it feels like I'm fucking on fire and I'm like, oh my God, like I totally nailed it. And some days it feels like, well, it's too easy and it's too much fun, so it can't really be considered work. So here I am. I have videos ready to promote last week's podcast. I'm recording myself on the video right now to promote this week's podcast. I have, 2.5 podcasts, right, in the can at this point. Things are scheduled up. Things are ready to go. Like, these are important things. And yet there's a two-pronged thought in my mind. One is it's not really work because it's not hard, which is something that we are so fucking deeply ingrained to believe is true. And I will say candidly that watching and observing how, I suppose, like, hard and draining at times, the work that my husband does is on him. He has a great job. He's got an amazing team, a great boss. He has amazing clients. He loves the work that he does, but it's also very busy. It's a lot. And I see, I mean, he's not the only one. Like, I've had two friends already this week that said to me, like, fuck, like, I'm just not interested in slogging it out, 5 days a week anymore. And man, I wish that I could find a way to just like snap my fingers and change that for the world and be like, so 9 to 5s ain't really working and 5 days a week isn't really, because like, this is literally leftover vestiges of the Industrial Revolution. So we're working with like super old frameworks of like how we are productive and whatever. So that's, I suppose, step one of my rambling podcast today. This idea that like, oh right, I promised you I was gonna address what I see as productive. So and I'm going to talk about this specifically as women. I think men have a different viewpoint on this. And I say that because I see how I think and feel and react afterwards versus, say, my husband or my brother or my dad, or pick another guy in the world, right? As women, we're definitely socialized a different way on productive. So for one, we are never done doing anything. And so much of what has been called, quote, women's work for thousands of years, and definitely for the last 2-3 centuries, however long it's been, the housework, the buying groceries, the making meals, the taking care of the kids, the doing the laundry, the planning the calendar, all of the invisible work that we now have a word for. And it's hilarious to me that it's invisible work. I'm like, do people just assume the bathroom cleans itself? Do they think that laundry just magically washes itself? Like, I don't understand. How is this invisible to you? Do you think that your fridge magically fills itself? Like the lettuce walked itself over from the grocery store? Here I am. I heard you were hungry. That doesn't make any sense to me that would be considered invisible work. But anyway, so much of what we consider to be invisible work has been traditionally perceived as woman's work. And it is dismissed and disregarded as productive. Now, if you think it's not noticed that if it goes undone, go ahead and don't do it for like a week and kind of see. I'd be fascinated if like all the women of the world took an entire week off and were like, yeah, we're not doing this. All right, you figure it the fuck out. There would be so much mad scrambling on every possible level. It would actually be quite entertaining. Who's in? Maybe we start a movement. But we're kind of led to believe it's not productive. It's not valuable. And regardless of my conscious and logical and rational knowing that it is, there is still this deeply ingrained structure that I'm steadily dismantling that says this is not productive. So then it begs the question of, okay, so for example, let's assume an ideal day in my business is I do 4 hours of work. So inside that 4 hours, it could be anything. It could be recording a podcast. It could be creating content for a program. It could be being interviewed on someone else's podcast, or I don't know, strategizing about the business, like maybe planning my next quarter or setting my intentions for the next year, whatever that looks like. Okay. Now, the funny thing is, even as I'm making this list for you, all of that feels like made up. But if I had a JOB, I'd be like, well, these are the things that I did. Look, I'm doing this great job. So very fascinating, the difference between. So when I think of productive, there is this, I suppose, kind of insidious tie that feels like it needs to be made between the work that I'm doing and the effort that it costs me. So if it feels joyful and it feels fun and it doesn't feel like I'm efforting, then it must not be that productive, because in order to be productive, it's got to be hard, right? Which is a load of bullshit. So those are my thoughts on productivity. I think I said this earlier on. Again, it's my third recording. It's the afternoon. Also, it's like 28 degrees outside. And the room that I'm in, I don't think has air conditioning. And it's getting steadily hotter in here as we go. So I'm literally like melting from like the crown of my head down. Anyway, okay. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about today. So in the rambling of like, trying to chase this elusive energy of like being productive, in air quotes, I'm like, okay, well, what do I do next? So it's been a big week. I'm tired. Mentally, I'm tired. I've been like, yesterday was a 12-hour day where I had to really think strategically and problem solve and figure things out and do things very carefully. It was high stakes, install yesterday to make sure I didn't fuck it all up. And then I was up early this morning in order to make sure that everything's packed and ready to go. And again, there's that invisible work. Like, my husband gets himself packed and I get everything else ready. So like all the food that we need for the weekend and, all that stuff. So the short story is I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling worn out, but my husband is still working. He still has to meet his 9-to-5 obligation. So whereas I could, go do something else, I suppose, if I were at home, because I'm here and I'm kind of like, what do I do? I'm like, well, I want to be productive with my time. I want to be doing something. So because I've been away, I also haven't been really checking my emails. So I'm like, well, how about I check my emails? Which is always great because it brings my inbox numbers down, which makes me very happy. And one of the emails that was waiting for me was from Jasmine Starr, who I lightly follow. I really like her approach to things. And I get a kick out of her emails when I do read them. So she was talking about like building an Olympian's mindset. And she goes on to talk about how when I think most of us got swept up in the Olympics in the last, well, it would have been almost a month ago now, but like when the Olympics were on. I know we certainly watched lots of videos, and my favorite, I love watching the gymnastics videos because I used to do gymnastics, and it just feels amazing to me to see these like really powerful, capable, strong women doing these amazing things through the sheer force of their body, and that to me is fucking cool. So Jasmine Starr talks about how like we always watch the Olympics, like we sort of as a collective watch the Olympics, and everybody's goal, every Olympian's goal is to get the gold. But of course, only one person in every single competition can actually get the gold. Don't split hairs with me here. If someone's about to like write in, like DM me, Amy, technically 2 people could win gold if they tied exactly. I know, I get it. But the basic point is only one person can win gold. All right. So she goes on to say that what she finds most interesting about the Olympics is not actually the wins. It's not actually the successes. It's the random heartbreaks. It's the failures. It's the something goes sideways at the last moment. And she's curious, and she said she likes to research into how do they handle that. So, like what happens if you fall off the balance beam? What happens if you pull a hamstring? What happens if, pick anything, like you drop an oar, or you fall off your horse, or whatever. Like there's so many countless things. And she basically said in this email, what happens is the champion picks himself up and keeps going. And then she said a line that I had to read about 4 times because it literally stopped me in my tracks, and like the insides of my brain were like a record scratch, like, like, wait a minute, let me reread that again. And the line was something like, what happens when my work doesn't go according to plan? I know that I'm not going to reach the goal that I set out for. How do I respond, and what do I do next? And the part that stood out to me, I think, was the section of the line that says, when I know that I'm not going to reach the goal that I'm going for. If you are, you're wanting to become a gold medal sprinter and you pull a hamstring in the final run, and there's no way that you are going to cross the line first in front of everybody. It doesn't matter how much you've planned and prepped and trained and done everything. You're not going to get it. What do you do next? And that really stood up to me to go, because in the space of growing a business, and this is true for any goal, but I'm going to reference this to growing a business. In the space of growing a business, something that I've learned and heard from so many business teachers and mentors and gurus and experts and whatever you want to call yourselves, has basically been set goals and go after achieving them. And don't stop until you achieve them. But oh, by the way, set timelines on them so that you know how to hold yourself accountable. Now, I partook in a business program a few years back, and I met some very cool people, but the program definitely left me with some trauma and some very, very, very unserving experiences and beliefs and patterns that I have been steadily working to release and get rid of. So when I hear that, you need to set a goal and it needs to be hyper-specific, which as a non-specific manifester in the human design category already is just not how I deal, okay? So it needs to be hyper-specific, and also it needs to be time-bound, right? SMART goals, if they're not time-bound, you're not going to get them. But sometimes, and I would argue most times, you don't actually know. You're making all of this shit up as you go. Okay? My goal could 100%, and it is along my timeline of goals, to have 1 million downloads on this podcast. That would be amazing. Help me get there, please, because it's you that helps me get there. But if I was okay, so my goal is to have my podcast reach 1 million downloads by September 30th, 2024. And it's April 15th of 2024. And I've never had a podcast, and I've never done anything, and I don't know anybody. And is it achievable? Possibly. But I would say for the majority of us, it's probably not going to reach that timeline. So I will never, ever, ever advocate for someone to give up on your goals. Absolutely do not. And I will say that, and this is why I find December so fascinating. December is always a really interesting month to me because people seem to kind of go, well, I guess it hasn't happened, and it's December 10th, so guess it's not going to happen this year, and there was some goal that they had intended for this year. To give you an example, even though my husband and I we'd already agreed to get married, and we picked our date, and we'd already started planning and everything, we weren't engaged when we started doing this. And my husband knew, obviously, that he needed to propose to me. I was very clear about that. That was a goal and a dream of mine my entire life. But I left everything up to him. So let's say that I started 2023 with a goal or an intention that we would become engaged by the end of the year. I would hazard to say that's a risky goal to set because now you have a second person that needs to be in alignment with that goal, right? At the beginning of 2023, I wasn't aware that was something that potentially we'd be, at 2022, because we got married in 2023. It's 2024 now. I've lost track of time already. It's kind of wild. So at the beginning of 2022, I wasn't aware that we were ready for that next step. Okay. And by we, I mean literally both of us. So if I had set a goal, okay, let's just assume that we were. Let's assume both of us are on the same page. We feel the same way. We want to get married. We're ready for it to happen. Totally down for having it happen this year. Okay. It's December 23rd and I'm still not engaged. We're 8 days from the end of the year. And most of us would throw up our hands and go, I guess it's not going to happen. Too bad. I was proposed to on Christmas Day in the most perfect way. It was the most amazing thing. I wasn't expecting it, which is part of the fun of our story. And I'm so glad that it wasn't any different, but it would have been so easy to just give up and say, I guess it's not happening. It's when we're talking about goals in business, I'm going to loop back to this. It's really easy to say, well, you didn't do it, therefore you failed. And this was literally said to me in a room of 100 people that nobody should be standing up and celebrating almost hitting a goal. So now I have this concern about going after it, right? And then not hitting it. So this email from Jasmine Star really struck me to say, so what if you know you're not going to reach the goal that you wanted? What do you do next? And of course, my immediate sort of programmed answer is, well, you keep going. But it gave me enough moment to kind of go, actually, that's a really good point. So great example. I've lost count of how many launches I've done this year, but I've done quite a few. And so far, not a single one of them has hit the goal that I would love to see for it. Okay? So by that metric, if the only way we're measuring whether or not those launches were a success or not was, did I hit the goal for enrollments/income that I desired? No. Okay? So this old business person that I used to learn from would say, then you fucking failed. Why the hell did you? They was literally said to me, I would never let that happen. Like, okay, but there's two entities here. Is me and also my students. Got to be ready. We got to be aligning. And you're aligning to me, right? I know this. I'm sending out these little cosmic rockets to you all the time. I'm here. I'm here to help you. It's going to be amazing. I know how to help shift things for you so that it feels easier and it feels more fun and you can create the time freedom that you want and the confidence that you want and the financial freedom and the wealth that you want. And I'm sending those rockets out to you all the time. And you're probably getting the early pings of them. Your sonar system is like, ping, there's something out there. Ping, hey, that sounds kind of like it's aligned to what I'm looking for. Ping, oh, hey, she said this thing about this other thing. Oh, what's that? Ping. And you start to get closer. And there will be a moment where the space between the rocket that I've sent out and you're receiving it is small enough and you are feeling ready to take the leap and enroll in one of my programs, hire me as your coach, whatever it looks like, right? But to simply say, well, I failed because I didn't reach the goal that I intended is way too simplistic. And it's frankly rather obtuse because inside each of the launches that I've done, I've learned something. I've learned things around technology. I've learned some really fascinating things around my energy. I've learned, what do I really enjoy doing? Where does it seem to pay off? So for example, 3-day workshops I love doing, but they're very energy intensive. And so do I keep doing them while I'm, still building the audience? Do I not? What does that feel like? But much more importantly, the bigger and better question to be asking is, does it feel good to me to do them? And I'm going to color this in with a very real example. The last workshop that I did, and the content is fucking good, which is why I'm always like, please join the workshop because it's so fucking good. The content is solid. I know that. My soul knows that. I had one person register and 0 people showed up, literally all 3 days. I think I had like one person that like every now and again would like briefly pop into the live stream for like 5 seconds and then disappear. So I'm literally just like talking to my camera, seeing in real time that there's nobody here, that nobody's listening to what I'm saying, and finding myself feeling more and more disheartened. So by day 3, my energy had seriously dipped. And even though the content was so good, I felt a version of phoning it in. And that is not creator energy. That is not magnet energy. If suddenly 30 people somehow showed up on the live stream, well, I suppose my energy would change. But like, let's say my energy didn't change. Those 30 people would feel that sense from me that I'm like, well, I got to do it. So I've heard so many people say, and this is true, whether it's for work, whether it's for a hobby, whether it's for something that maybe you're training for a sport or whatever, definitely this is in business, it's not all going to be fun. And I get that. I do. I'm not a huge fan. I can do it, figuring out all the technology. Is it my favorite thing? Not really. But like, I can do it. Is it my favorite thing to, track numbers? Not really, but I can do it. It's fine. Those things are fine. But when it comes to the heart of my work, if showing up on the podcast here every week with you felt like I fucking had to, you would feel that. People would not show up. You would not be interested in listening to me. And I would have 0 fun doing it. So there needs to be enough elements that feel good. And I truly believe, and I'm going to just touch on this. I don't remember who this person is, but I came across this as I was doing some podcast research. I came across this other creator who talks about like your dharma. And this is another one of the emails that I read during my email productivity moment, like clearing through my emails, and talking about joy and how joy is, I'll call it like the engine that drives our sonar pings, right? Our radar that like helps us align to know when we are lining up to where we are meant to be and when we're not. And this email also had a very fascinating line in it that said something to the effect of, we have been taught by the world that we have to sacrifice in order to get what we want. And that sacrifice has to be hard work and struggle and really no fun at all. I mean, raise your hand if you've heard that, right? I know I sure have heard that so many times. It's in the same bin as, business. It can't all be fun. You can't just do the things that feel good. You got to do all the other stuff. So we're taught and inundated with this idea that, well, you need to sacrifice. And it actually, and this is why I love the timing of the universe, because literally moments before I opened this email, I had found myself reflecting on what if, all I ever hear is like, okay, well, you can build your success, but you got to be ready to pay the price. And I can think of countless teachers and speakers and people that I've heard over the years that have talked about some version of, if I knew what this work was going to require of me and ask me to sacrifice, I don't know if I would have done it. So I've been in this space of looking at how good and joyful and full my life is now, and having this sense of, well, if it's really true that I have to sacrifice if you look up the fucking definition, and I have the definition inside the Building Fempires program because it's related to some of the content that I teach in there, but it's, if I recall correctly, it's literally murdering something. It is permanently giving something up. Okay? Like, if you think about biblical versions of sacrifices, there's a reason it's called the sacrificial lamb. They murdered a lamb. Okay, they killed it, whatever. That's sacrifice. I don't want to look at, okay, the cost of going after my dreams is going to mean that I have to do this atrocious thing. It has to be terrible and hard. What? There's no fucking part of my dream life that says, ooh, it's going to be hard and it's going to suck and you're going to give up all the things that feel good to you. That sounds amazing to me. No. Right? No, thank you. Not interested. 0% unsubscribe from that list. Please and thank you very much. But because we have this constant inundating, it's a challenge, I think, for forward thinkers like you and I to let go of that programming, because there still is so much out there. And the truth is, the people who sacrifice and the people who struggle are celebrated for it. There's this interesting thing, I think, that's happened or been happening, or it's ongoing, where we are not okay for something to feel or appear easy for someone. I said this before, when I released the weight a couple years ago, the journey itself wasn't hard. It wasn't hard work. It wasn't, I didn't struggle. I had my moments, of course, because I'm like, why is my weight staying the same? It's been 2 weeks. What the fuck is happening? Or maybe it's even gone up. Gasp, the worst, right? It's not every moment of the journey was effortless, but the actual journey was easy. I was following a plan. I had clear support. I had someone who was walking along it with me, and people were celebrating what was the difference that we're showing. Because of course, when we go on a weight release journey, everybody can see whether it's working or not. And fortunately or unfortunately, they feel that they can and should comment on it. And one of my least favorite things, and this has really stayed with me, I remember being back in Manitoba at a party, and one of my relatives, actually I think a couple of my relatives, came up to me and were like, wow, Amy, you look great. What have you been doing? And blah, blah. And I shared a little bit of, and I always love, because everybody wants the tips. They're like, so what did you change? Did you just change what you eat? And I'm like, no. Well, did you start exercising a ton? No. Well, what did you do? And I'm like, well, I learned about the psychology behind food, why we eat what we eat, what actually is nourishing. I learned about food to understand better, how to better nourish myself. And I learned the psychology behind movement. And you want to watch people's eyes fucking glaze over? You tell them that. And I'm like, nobody wants to hear this, but that is actually what created the lasting change for me. And that was what I had been looking for so long. And finally it showed up. We want to hear, oh, she gave up dessert for the last 6 months. No wonder she's let go of the weight. Because if I tell you, it's understanding and learning the psychology behind it and making a few simple shifts to my habits and my patterns and how I nourish myself, how I support my body physically through movement. That's something fucking everybody can do. So now the excuses are gone. Went a little tirade there, so let me come back. So one of my least favorite comments was, I'm in this moment, having this conversation with my relatives. They're like, wow, Amy, you look great. You must have worked really hard at it, which I've literally told everybody, nope, I didn't. I just followed the program. It was really great. Walked me through all the steps. I just did the thing. It's not fucking hard. But then this is the comment that they said. Now you just got to keep it off. And when I say to you, there was like if you can imagine just all the joy thumping onto the floor, right? Like it went from this conversation kind of celebrating this win into, well, better watch out because you're going to start gaining weight. And yes, I understand that the majority of people who release weight, I would say they lose weight. And I use those words very, very intentionally because I heard somebody one time say, I don't want to say I'm losing weight because I don't want to go find it again, right? I'm releasing it. I'm done with it. It doesn't need to be here anymore. Go on. Have a great life somewhere else. Which is why I say a weight release journey versus a weight loss journey. I know the common vernacular is to say weight loss. But I'm 0% interested in going to find it again. So once it's gone, it's gone. I release you, be free, go have a great day. But this comment stayed ringing in my ears for years. This terror of suddenly putting the weight back on. And then that would be, I suppose, proof. Oh, look, Amy's no different than anybody else. She let go of the weight and then bam, she put it all back on again. Oh, well, guess that's just how it all goes. And there's this smugness to that. There's this smugness that we have, and really, and I'm saying we in the collective way, that we have when someone who had some success then fails. And I don't understand that. I'm like, why are we celebrating? Like they came down. Like it's this lack framework of thinking that basically has some version of, well, they flew too close to the sun and it's about time that they got their ass handed to them and set back down to where they belong. When really, I'm going to challenge that to say that where we are existing as a collective right now, as people who are inundated and believe in lack and scarcity and suffering and struggle, is not where we belong. It's not where we belong. That it was never fucking meant to be where we belong. And yet we've believed some fucking garbage that says, well, that's your natural lot in life. No. Is there any part of you, be honest with me now, is there any part of you that dreams of living a life of lack and scarcity and struggle and pain? I'm going to guess nobody said no. For the one of you who was like, yes, I'm totally there. This podcast probably isn't for you because that's just not the shit that I talk about. That's not the shit that we dream about. Where the fuck do you think our dreams come from? Where did the fuck do you think our desires come from? Do you think that they just nobody's teaching them to you. They fucking arrive to you from your soul. Your soul craves and wants so much to have your dreams expressed in real life. Your soul isn't craving pain and struggle and lack and scarcity, right? That's not what it's after. It's 0% of what it's after. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So when we go and we say, oh, good, they're back where they belong, they're overweight or they're broke or they've lost their job or they're taking a ton of flack in social media or whatever. Like, oh, good, that's where they belong. No, that's not fucking where we belong. We don't belong on the floor, okay? That's not where human beings are meant to be. We are meant to be bigger and brighter and lighter and bolder and all those feelings, all those things that you can't, in the deepest parts of your mind, that when you are having a fucking bad day and you tune out of all this stuff and your mind wanders and you start daydreaming Wouldn't it be amazing if I won $1 million? Wouldn't it be amazing if I could go sit on a beach in Greece right now? Wouldn't it be amazing if I own my own home or whatever? Pick whatever it is that makes sense to you. When your brain starts wandering down that is your soul speaking through. Those are your dreams coming through. You're not daydreaming about like, wouldn't it be great? Ah, man, it'd be so amazing if like I just went to sleep every night worrying about money. I think that'd be so fucking awesome. And oh man, while I'm at it, wouldn't it be really, really cool to like get to the end of my bank account balance like all the time? Like just never have enough to pay my bills. Man, yep. Can't wait for that. Think that'd be really awesome. And actually, while I'm at it, you know what? It would be really great if I felt like really fucking depressed and frustrated all the time. And like there was nowhere to go, my job, and I just knew that like I'm going to be making minimum wage and feeling completely undervalued for the rest of my life. Like that fucking sounds, that sounds awesome. I mean, come on, if you're not laughing by now, you might be crying. And in that case, I'm sending you a giant hug. That's not what we dream of. So I suppose I like to tidy these things up with like, so here's my lessons for today. I don't have a lesson for today. I suppose really that's it. It's that we don't belong in these tiny, terrible, painful containers. I know it's easier for the people around you, okay? But that's not where we belong. And oh, by the way, I promise you this because I've done the work. When I think about I'm working on a new, different way of saying sacrifice, but like, let's just use the old vernacular for a moment. When I think about what gets sacrificed, as I stand more in my fullness, here's what I see and what I have experienced that gets, quote, sacrificed on the way. The people who don't resonate with me any longer fall away. And I'm okay with that, because I don't resonate with them either. Imagine that you dated a guy in high school. You knew it wasn't working, so you broke up, but because you were so afraid to, quote, sacrifice, and again, we'll come up with a better way of saying this, you kept this person in your life. You're like, well, I can't sacrifice. I know it didn't work, but like, I got to keep this person around because like, it's not okay for this person to just disappear. So I guess we got to keep fucking no. If it's done and it's not working for you anymore, you let it go, right? Like, hopefully you're not hating on them, but like, you just let it go. You move on. You go to the next thing. It's so silly when we have this concern that like the things that, so when I'm going to give you an example. When I think of something like my husband or my health or the joy that I have in my work, okay? Those are three things. Like my life is very full and wonderful and fulfilling right now. And there are elements, there's definitely areas of my life that I would like to be more fulfilling and that feel lower on the fullness spectrum because they're just not quite reaching where I want to be, and that's fine. The fuel tank is filling up. The meter is already moving. But when I think about like, okay, so let's say, let's assume there's a pie and there's 8 slices to that pie and 7 of the slices are like pretty well full. But that 8th slice, we'll just call it my career slice. That 8th slice is like 20% full. And you said to me, Amy, the only way to fill up this 8th slice is to get rid of 3 other slices in the pie. And I said to you, but all the other slices bring me joy and they feel good and I really enjoy them. Why would I give them up? And you say, well, you have to. You have to sacrifice something. You can't have it all. You know what? I'm probably good. Would that be frustrating and disappointing to not have the fullness of that 8th slice of pie? Absolutely. Am I willing to let go of what is good and joyful and fulfilling to get there? No. But if you're like, okay, this is a blueberry pie, but you have all of these, what goes terrible with blueberries? You have all of these Brussels sprouts on top of this blueberry pie. And in order to fill up your blueberry pie, maybe these Brussels sprouts have been like crammed into that one slice. Okay, so my 20% slice. I don't know if anybody else is getting hungry for pie while I use this alliteration, but I'm starting to crave pie. Anywho, so in order to fill up that eighth slice, right? Your other 7 slices still similar fullness to the previous example, but you're only at 20% in the slice. And the reason you're only at 20% in the slice is because you have all these Brussels sprouts crammed in there. Well, in order for that 20% to fill up, we got to get rid of the Brussels sprouts. Oh my God, can I tell you how fast I'd get rid of I'd fucking dump them, I'd chuck them out of there. Those Brussels sprouts will be gone before you finish the sentence. Oh, you want them gone? They're fucking out of here. No, thank you. Not happy with Brussels sprouts. Don't need Brussels sprouts. They do not go with my blueberry pie. Get rid of them. When we can start to think about it that way and let go of this like, fuck, we need to sacrifice. Fuck that. Whoever came up with that idea, someone's, there's a lot of them, led us to believe that in order to have our dreams, we need to give up things that feel good. There's a lot of, when it comes to creating a business, and I would say also creating some, I don't know if high profile is necessarily the right word, but it's the one that's coming to mind, like high profile careers, right? Like let's say, for example, you are interested in law, you want to become a lawyer. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, like how did it come to be that in order to become a lawyer, a really successful lawyer, to become a partner at a law firm, you need to work like stupid, ridiculous fucking hours? Like, what is that? Who came up with that system, right? And in fairness, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that is still what is expected, but it's definitely what's portrayed on TV and everything all the time, right? And we know TV is always 100% correct. So like, there's that. But we have been taught to believe that in order to create these dream scenarios, if you want to be the lawyer, if you want to be the doctor, if you want to be the successful business owner, cool, you can have that. But on your way there, you're going to give up all the free time you have with your loved ones, time to nourish and take care of your body, time to go on vacation and relax, time to just fucking sit and do nothing. But don't worry, in somewhere like 3 to 15 years, you'll reach this apex, and then you can potentially start filling up the other pieces, because by then you will be the partner at the law firm. You will be the well-respected doctor. You will be the CEO that has a $7 million a year, $15 million a year business, or $100 million a year business, whatever your goal is, right? And then you can start filling them up. Well, that doesn't sound like any fucking fun. Like, no, thank you. Not interested. I don't want to say, okay, these things have to go on hold while I do this one singular thing. I mean, how stupidly limited do we think that human beings are? Okay, ladies, let's just have a real talk here for a second. Your body can literally create life while you do anything else. Okay? Your body can create another human being while you are sleeping, while you are eating, while you are walking, while you are working, while you are texting, while you are driving. Don't text and drive at the same time, by the way. While you are running after the other human beings that you've created. Like, we are so fucking wildly capable, but we keep somehow believing that, like, we can only do one thing at a time. What? No. Sure, in the day-to-day task of things, does multitasking exist? No, we've proven it. Okay? Fine. Women can fake it. They can walk the line better than men, and I'm going to assume it's just because of the nature of raising children. Our brains have developed in some kind of a way that which then that opens up an interesting can of worms of like, are women brains developed differently than men brains outside of being like socially conditioned? Anywho, that's a conversation for another day. I will look into that. But like, we're used to, and I suppose really because very often girls from very, very young ages are introduced and taught to practice this multitasking behavior, right? So, and guys aren't. They're just let to do the one thing. Well, they can only focus on one thing at a time. Well, truly, all of us can only focus on one thing at a time, but you didn't give me a choice and he got a choice. So I guess he's never developed that skill of keeping an ear out for two things, right? Come on. Let me come back to where it was. So we are unfucking believably capable. It's ridiculous how capable we are. Why are we allowing someone to tell us that in order to create our dream life, our dream career, our dream relationship, our dream health, we have to sacrifice a whole bunch of shit to get there? It doesn't make any sense. Okay? So let's click unsubscribe to that. And finally, what are my last thoughts that I want to share with you today? I suppose I'm curious. I would love to hear from you. Like, where are the parts in life that you get stuck? Where are the things that you find going on inside your brain on repeat? What is it that you find yourself struggling with when you are creating your dream life, figuring out your finances, building a relationship that feels good, cleaning your house? I don't know, like what's getting in the way? I'm very, very curious to understand. I just want to know, like, what is it? What are the things that you're struggling with? Because I'm just curious. I'm insatiably curious. So I would love for you to share this with me. If you feel comfortable, tell me all the things, and I want to hear them. You can reach out to me on the socials at Amy Van Meel on both TikTok and Instagram. Full disclosure, I am not super fast at responding on either platform, but I'm faster responding on Instagram than I am on the TikToks, but I like both as much as I like social platforms, which is not a huge amount. Respond to, like, find the latest post, reach out send me a DM, whatever it is, drop a comment. I very much want to hear. And or you can also send me your thoughts, excuse me, through the submit a question portion for the podcast. So the URL is in the show notes. I think it's amyvanmeel.com/podcast questions, but it's the URL is in the show notes. So you can submit a question, submit your thoughts. I know that it's phrased as a question, but like, hey, Amy, here's these things that I'm wondering about. And or, hey, Amy, here's the stuff that's keeping me stuck. I want to know. Tell me the things. And with that, my love, I know that by now, by the time that this podcast is airing, it is officially September. And that means that my birthday is officially over, which is the like, wah, wah, wah. So I'm basking in the joy that was my birthday and already, counting down and looking forward to my next birthday. And because it's the beginning of September, it also means that we're like 2-ish months away from the best season of the year starting, which is known as ski season. And I'm excited about that. And yeah, so that's what's going on. All right. At this point, I'm rambling. Have the most amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.